All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, when LSU hired Brian Kelly to be their head football coach last November, the move raised some eyebrows on the Bayou. Kelly surprisingly left Notre Dame to come to the Deep South to take over a program whose expectations are even higher than the program that he just left. And you had to wonder if the native of Massachusetts, who primarily coached in the North, was ready for life in the Deep South and a competitive SEC. Now, we saw LSU begin this year by losing their opener at the Superdome to Florida State. And if anybody follows LSU's program, they know that the Superdome is basically their home away from home. And in losing that contest, Brian Kelly's bunch, well, not really Brian Kelly's bunch, Brian Kelly, took a fair share of criticism from the media as far as the amount of money that was spent to get him to be their head coach, only to lose that game. But then, very quietly, LSU would go about their business. They'd win their next four before they got blown out at home to Tennessee. And then, even in the blowout following the game, Kelly took some criticism from the media because he felt like, his team was very close and a lot of people just chuckled. But then we saw LSU come back with a vengeance. They went on the road to Gainesville and beat Florida. And that's never an easy place to go out there and get a win, even though that Florida has a first year head coach this year, just like LSU does. But then the following week, seeing LSU blow out the previously undefeated Ole Miss at home, and then hosting Alabama last Saturday night, going toe to toe with them, with a team that a lot of people expected to contend for and win the national title this year. And then, just as we saw LSU being unable to convert that 2 point conversion to win the game against Florida State, Brian Kelly rolled the dice and he got his 2 point conversion against Alabama last week. And that really showed, what this guy knows what he's doing for anybody out there who really doubted him. But you look at Kelly and what he's done, and on top of getting past Alabama last week, the Tigers came back today on the road. Very tough Arkansas team. I know that KJ Jefferson didn't play, but that is still a very tough team. And we saw that as Arkansas made LSU sweat it out until the very end. But with LSU's win today over Arkansas and with Alabama beating Ole Miss today, guess what? LSU and Brian Kelly are headed to the SEC championship game in Atlanta next month. And the bottom line is, this is not a fluke because Brian Kelly has won every single place along his coaching journey. And now he's showing that he can do it in the SEC, but more importantly, the SEC West, because you think about that gauntlet that is there and you got to survive. And then you got to deal with Alabama, who's been the big dog for the longest time. But Kelly, and I'm not trying to diminish anything that he's done, he's really benefited from the transfer portal and being able to get in a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, a former Arizona State starting quarterback. And this combo has really adjusted to the SEC rather quickly. And this is part of the reason why LSU is in the position that they're in. Of course, their defense has really stepped it up at times. And now you got this team going to the SEC championship game and possibly, even with the two losses, possibly getting a shot for the college football playoff because at this point, LSU is ranked number 7. But I'll tell you like this, if LSU wins the SEC, even with two losses, that would definitely catapult them into the top 4. But make no mistake about it, Brian Kelly's always been a good recruiter. LSU has always done a good job in recruiting their region, regardless of who the head coach is. And now, with this instant success that he's had, it's only going to help him and the program on the recruiting trail even more. You think about the history of this LSU program. The last 3 head coaches each won a national championship there. The last two got fired. So Brian Kelly definitely wants to add his name to the national championship part. Obviously, he has gotten himself off to a good start, and nobody's going to think about him, being possibly unable to get it done, at LSU and the SEC because he's shown so far that hey, he can get it done. So you look at this LSU team; they're 8-2. They've got UAB at home next week for Senior Day, and then they're in College Station to finish things off for the regular season. Very good chance that we're talking about a 10-2 LSU team going into Atlanta for the SEC championship game. Obviously, more than likely, it's going to be Georgia. Georgia will probably be favored in that game, but nonetheless, you still got to go out there and get it done on the field, which means anything can happen. The folks that follow this LSU program were hopeful that Brian Kelly would turn things around and get this program back on track. I'm not sure if anybody expected it to be this quick, but the bottom line is the money that was paid to Mr. Kelly to get him to leave Notre Dame to come to LSU has been more than worth it. He has had a good start to his run at in Baton Rouge, and let's just see how much more that he will add to it. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.